PAISA 2012. Do schools get their money? India's elementary education budget has increased over twofold since 2007 and 8 from rupees 68,853 crore to rupees 1,47,059 crore in 2012-13. In 2012-13, the average allocation per student in India's government elementary schools was 11,509 rupees. Is money reaching its final destination? How have these increased outlays been spent? Who takes expenditure decisions? Are expenditures linked to needs on the ground? The 12th five-year plan has explicitly recognized learning outcomes as the goal for India. Are we allocating the right resources to the right activities to meet this goal? Since 2009, PAISA has been attempting to answer these questions through a people's audit of the country's planning and budgeting systems for education. Through a range of surveys, including an annual national survey undertaken in partnership with ASER, PAISA tracks budgetary allocations, financial flows, expenditures and decision-making processes from the Government of India all the way to elementary schools. Here are some highlights from the 2012 PAISA report. The Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan is the country's flagship program for implementing the Right to Education Act. Since the launch of the RTE, SSA budgets have increased by 57% from rupees 42,777 crore in 2010-11 to rupees 67,307 crore in 2012-13. How have these resources been prioritized? Teachers and school infrastructure received the largest share of SSA allocations, increasing by 61% between 2010-11 and 2012-13. In 2012-13, teachers received 43% of the SSA outlay, while school infrastructure-related activities accounted for 35% of the budget. Quality-specific activities account for 2% of the budget in 2012-13. Expenditure has not kept pace with these increased allocations. In 2011-12, only 62% of the SSA budget was spent. The increased outlays have resulted in some progress in meeting RTE norms. The shortfall in girls' toilets has reduced from 32% in 2010 to 25% in 2012. However, overall, progress on RTE goals has been slow. School management committees are responsible for spending three core grants. These are the School Maintenance Grant, meant for minor repairs and infrastructure maintenance, the School Development Grant to purchase items such as office stationery, and the Teaching Learning Material Grant to purchase teaching aids. These are the only monies over which SMCs have any direct expenditure control. In 2012-13, they accounted for 2% of the total budget, down from 4% in 2010-11. To find out what happens to this money, PAISA surveyed about 14,600 rural Indian schools in 2012, asking the following questions. Do schools get their money? Does it reach on time? Do schools get all their money? How do schools spend their money? The good news first. In 2011-12, 85% schools in India reported receiving school grants, up from 82% in 2010-11. There are variations across grants. 89% schools received TLM, 79% schools received SDG, and 87% schools received SMG. The proportion of schools receiving all three grants has also increased, from 69% in 2010-11 to 74% in 2011-12. Worryingly, much of this money reaches schools towards the end of the academic year. The ASER and PAISA survey is conducted annually between October and November, halfway through the school year. By November 2012, just about half of India's schools had reported receiving their grants for the current fiscal. Block and district level officials attribute these delays to problems such as limited access to core banking, banks not crediting accounts on time, incorrect bank account numbers, and lack of clarity of grant names during fund transfers. Delay in receipt of funds compromises the quality of expenditures. The late arrival of grants adversely affects time-bound expenditures, such as pre-monsoon repairs and purchase of basic supplies in schools. And when money finally arrives, schools hurry to spend their funds to meet their end-of-year requirements. No surprise then that 67% of India's schools whitewashed their walls between April 2011 and November 2012. PAISA recorded similar results in previous years. PAISA also finds that although SMCs have expenditure powers over these grants, in reality, spending decisions are taken by the block and district administration. In some districts, schools were asked to whitewash their walls in preparation for the Chief Minister's visit. In another district, a building-less school was asked to buy fire safety equipment. The main finding from PAISA is that the current planning and budgeting system for elementary education is extremely centralized by design. Districts, schools, and SMCs remain at the fringes of the decision-making process, and state capacity to spend is limited. In light of the increased focus on learning outcomes in the 12th five-year plan, can the current centralized system deliver? If not, how do we build a planning and budgeting system that involves parents, schools, and the local administration? How do we strengthen state capacity and incentivize accountability for learning outcomes? Finding answers to these questions is the challenge of the future.